Cerebras just went public through their IPO, a massive success for them, and they are positioning themselves as a newcomer, upcomer in the AI race against Nvidia and AMD, with claims of much faster inference, up to 15x compared to the GPUs provided by the likes of Nvidia, for example. Today, I'm gonna walk you through the claims, and we will see the long-term prospects of this company and what you really need to know before you invest in Cerebras, because it's easy as an investor to go all in early on after an IPO. Let's visit Cerebras' own page to see what the hype is all about. So they are stating the world's fastest AI runs on the world's biggest chip. That's a sweet deal. And yeah, powering AI's native leaders, top startups, and the global 1000. You can see here also the claim, the AI chip company that is up to 15x faster than GPUs. That is quite impressive marketing, because it makes you think, oh, they are 15x compared to other GPUs, maybe the best GPUs out there. But what does that really mean? 15x faster than GPUs on a general term? Is it like, which year is the benchmark? Is it like the GPUs from 2024, or is it the upcoming wafer-scale solutions from 2026? Well, they are saying that the Cerebras wafer-scale engine is purpose-built for ultra-fast AI. It is 58x larger than GPUs, designed for builders who wants to do extraordinary things. And here you can compare it to Nvidia GPUs B200. So I guess that might be the comparison for them, the Nvidia GPU B200. So this is very impressive claims, but when you analyze companies, you need to break down what that claim means. So, for example, when you read the AI company has 15x faster than GPUs, that is a very broad term. That might be some specific workloads, specific situations, in specific models. For example, it might be 15x in the Llama model that Meta and Facebook drives on, but maybe just double the speed in the OpenAI model, for example. Also, it might be compared to a specific GPU from another generation, and maybe their competitors are going over from one type of GPU clusters to a more improved one with faster interconnectivity, which means that this comparison might be just like 1.5x faster. And if you have that 1.5x faster and compare that with the terms of how hard it is to build the Cerebras wafer-scale engine 3, that might be actually a bad deal for someone who buys the chip. So we will see. We have to keep looking, okay? Now you've heard me approach this from the retail investor perspective, but I want to show you the thoughts of the CEO of Cerebras System and how they came to build this company, and maybe this will make you think about them in another way. So let's go.
A large enough market to justify purpose-built silicon, the same way PCs justified x86, and graphics justified GPUs, and mobile justified ARM. And second, that a winning architecture had to begin with a clean sheet. It had to be radically different. It could not be an incremental approach. Both of these bets were contrarian, and both turned out to be right. Graphics is a parallelism-bound problem. Mobile is a power-bound problem. AI is a communication-bound problem. The faster compute can talk to other compute, the faster compute can talk to memory, the faster the AI. The best way to increase communication speed is to never leave the chip. This is why we chose to build the largest chip in the history of compute. This is why we chose wafer-scale integration. Wafer-scale allowed us to avoid communication latency that is induced by chopping up the AI problem and spreading it out over lots of little chips. Put simply, wafer-scale integration allowed us to bring together quantities of compute and memory that had never before been assembled on a single chip, and allowed us to communicate between them at previously unimagined speeds. The resulting wafer-scale solution not only was the fastest AI chip, not only was the largest chip ever built, but it broke one of the fundamental laws that every processor had followed since 1972. The Cerebras wafer-scale engine, our wafer, broke Moore's law, not by a little bit, but by a lot. Moore's Law was a pattern that had been followed by every processor for more than 50 years. The Cerebras wafer-scale engine set a new trajectory. This is the foundation of blisteringly fast AI. Wafer-scale integration was one of the holy grails of compute. The benefits were obvious, but every previous effort had failed, including Gene Amdahl, one of the fathers of our field. Everyone thought it was impossible. And in fact, even after we proved it could be done, every effort after us has failed as well. Wafer-scale integration was much more than a chip challenge. We had to fabricate it, yield it, power it, cool it, build systems from it, write compilers for it, and run production AI workloads on it. Ironically, the things everyone said were impossible, we solved quickly and easily. The hard challenges were the ones nobody had ever seen before, because nobody had ever gotten that far. Nobody knew how to yield a chip 58 times larger than a GPU. Nobody knew how to package a big chip without cracking it. Nobody knew how to deliver power to a chip the size of a dinner plate without melting the motherboard. Nobody knew how to cool it with water or with air. Nobody had ever written software to it or built clusters from it. The list of things nobody knew was long. Nobody knew, and we didn't know either. Pioneering invention is not easy, and we failed for a long time. But we believed in fearless engineering, and we attacked the unknown with a disciplined methodology. We began with first principle analysis, then experimentation, failure analysis, and rinse and repeat. We believe that enduring moats are built by solving hard technical problems with novel solutions. We believe that value comes from doing things customers want that others cannot do. We focus relentlessly on these items. We make bold decisions. We weigh trade-offs in favor of long-term value creation. It took a decade of engineering, more than 130 patents granted and pending, 50 major technical publications.
To wrap this up, we need to talk about the pros and cons with the technique that the Cerebras system are using to being able to promise the speed that they are promising in terms of AI inference, etc. And what they do is basically doing the massive compute on a wafer scale chip instead of having the clusters of GPUs. And obviously the promise is quite simple. By doing this, you will have lower latency, you will reduce the connectivity bottlenecks, and having faster communication through the networking, and therefore also faster inference. And in certain large scale models, you will likely perform better over time, and therefore being an important part of the AI inference system long term. And if they can get that part of the AI market and being a leader, having a market cap as $60 billion they have at the moment is nothing. They can grow so fast. They can be like a 20-30x opportunity. But at the moment, they only have $500 million in revenue. So it's a very richly valuated company. It's a lot of big words from the CEO. Obviously, they are good in terms of selling their ideas, and the concept is quite easy actually. But what can go wrong? Because we can see here that, yeah, it sounds good. They are a lot faster in terms of communication here on a big ship. They are doing solutions that no one has done before, but it's obviously the best if we listen to their sales presentations. Well, obviously there is a bear case, and that is the continuing improvement from companies like AMD, like Nvidia, for example. If I use AMD as an example, because that's a company I might have followed the closest in the stock market, they have fast improvements in their ROCm software system. They have started to integrate rack scale systems with the new next generation GPUs 450X, and this system is optimized for specific workloads, and they can purpose build it for different customers, meaning they will have a lot, I mean, massively increased performance, and maybe they will 10-15x versus themselves over a generation. And if you think about benchmark and the 15x comparison that Cerebra system did with some GPU clusters, you will say that, oh, maybe they are 15x against a former generation. But if AMD and Nvidia can do 15x against themselves, obviously Cerebras is not actually ahead of them at the moment, because the next generation is already at the same level as Cerebras system. So that could be the hard part, being a little bit smaller company and having the big wafer compute solutions here, that they can't innovate as fast as the big dogs here, and they don't have the same cash flow. They have to continue to raise money to being able to increase the production. So that is actually something hard. If, for example, the especially the networking are getting a lot of improvements lately for a lot of both inside the solutions with AMD, and also the InfiniBand and the link, etc., in the CUDA ecosystem in Nvidia. And if these type of systems continue to improve, maybe the interconnectivity and that bottlenecks actually gets very, very small. And because the systems that deliver, that AMD, Nvidia, and such delivers are so flexible, there are no moat, there are not no value in actually building or buying these purpose built wafer solutions from Cerebras, because they are basically going to be too expensive